All right, welcome back to Multifamily Strategy Live. This is Christian. Special edition. I'm working on the course tonight for Multifamily Strategy. I'm adding new Section 8 sections and updating the broker scripting. Had some inspiration recently. I've been working on sharpening this, using it a better camera, and filming some video without me having my post-COVID super long ugly beard. So I figured while I'm stuck here working on my computer late at night, I would go ahead and just hop online and answer questions. So I'm going live on pretty much all platforms: YouTube, X, Instagram. Anyone who wants to watch, ask some questions, post it in the chat, and I will see them all here on the screen. And so this is just extra time for me to engage and ask questions while we go over a couple of the projects that I'm already working on. Figured if we're here, let's dive in and hang out with some people. So for those joining the channel, thank you for joining me on a fantastic work night here. Any questions you all have, I'm happy to jump in and answer them while I shift around some courses and knock out my admin. Thanks for working with me at 9 o'clock at night. Jumping right in with the questions. What if the agent requires proof of funds before we make an offer? So if you do a good job of setting the stage and building confidence, you're almost always not going to get asked. I get asked maybe once every 5 deals, probably less than that, for proof of funds. I just go through my basic questions. This is actually a section that I've done in the course that will never need to be changed because it's always the same and it always works. There's a few basic steps to the broker script. You're going to start with question number 1. Is the property still available? Really awkward to get momentum and then learn that the property you're calling on is under contract, and you always call about a specific property, even if it's just to build a relationship with the broker. 2, general question. They now know why you're calling. Just let them do their job. So you're going to let them do their job and get into their sales process by asking them a basic question. One of my favorites: I own in the area, not this neighborhood. Tell me about the location. Now they're starting to sell you. It's a lot easier to sell someone that you are the buyer for this property if they're already trying to sell you into being the buyer. Everyone's starting to work together because you asked question number 2. Question number 3, we're going to get more specific because we're honing in on a sale. We don't want to jump the gun. So tell me one thing you don't like about the property. If it's been around a while, notice it's been on market for 120 days. What has this property stuck on market? That's a question that's super simple, easy to ask. Then we get into the main question, the big one that asks everything. How's the bank going to look at this deal? Really weird to open with that, so don't do that. But you've now built an actual story, right? You've had some small talk. Hey, calling about the property. Is it still available? Tell me about the location. What do you not like about it? Okay, now we're at the bank. How is the bank going to look at this deal? Well, that's not just asking about the bank. Yes, you're asking about financing, which in the broker's mind, hey, they're asking about money. We're almost closed. Also, if there's a bunch of deferred maintenance, the bank's going to want you to put more down. If there's terrible books, the bank might not want to lend or is going to require more down. These are all things that the broker's going to have to explain to you, which is going to, 1, tell you a lot about the problems on the property, but 2, you're talking about banking. You're just taking the basic script and you're telling a story to a salesperson. Hello, this is what I'm calling about. I'm letting you do your job. We're going open-ended to specific questions, to finance questions. Now it's really natural if it's a deal I want to buy. Hey, would you be open to carrying, or would they be open to carrying a contract? But you go through this script. And if you're trying to build a relationship with them, by the way, the last question is this the deal that I should be looking at? Because then you get to open up other deals and you move to the top of their list. And there's a whole bunch of psychology behind how we deliver these. But the basis of it is you've already established your credibility. They're trying to sell you. They're not usually after proof of funds really early there. If they are, and you know you're bringing in a capital partner, that may be one where early on, if you have that person set up, just say, hey, we need to show proof of funds. Otherwise, honesty is a great way to go about it. If you're newer, you don't have a big portfolio to show them. That's usually what I do. I'm like, hey, I'm moving the liquidity, but I will send you a schedule of real estate. Here's the other 200 units I've purchased. I'm capable of knocking this out. If that's not you, just tell them something that is true. Hey, I'm bringing on a partner. This is the capital partner I'm looking at bringing on. Here are their credentials. This is who I am. We're ready to knock out this project. Get through that question as simply as possible. Oh boy, you guys are on it tonight. So I have a bunch of questions. So, oh boy, man, it's going to take me longer to get through my work than I thought. Well, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Edmund loves the late night lives. Very fun. I enjoy these too. Of course, I'm going live tomorrow at 3 at the normal scheduled time, but it just seemed a shame to be sitting here with my whole studio ready to go. I still have my backlights on. I was like, I mean, we're already set up. Why don't I just turn on the camera and roll? Manuel, dude, awesome seeing you in Atlanta. Thank you for coming out. By the way, it means a lot to me when I get to see people from this channel when I go around and speak. Like, it's super fun. New Jersey is the next stop. I'm going to be landing in Newark on the 1st. Yes, on the 1st. And of next month, of course. And I'll be speaking on the 2nd and the 3rd. I'll be doing breakout rooms. I'll be hanging out with everyone. So I'm very, very, very excited for that event. It's called Build It Now Live. Henry Washington, who's a good friend of mine, is also going to be a keynote speaker. So if you guys are in the general Northeast, make it there. Worst part about lives, if you guys don't know this, if you don't go live a lot, if you have to sneeze, defeating the sneeze without trying to break your rhythm is really hard. I was just successful in that endeavor. Just want to point that out. Hard to do. BH Fashion Clothing Co. Do you think of acquiring multifamily properties with the expectation of adding ADUs to it? Do you think it's a sound strategy? I think it's a sound strategy, yes. It's kind of like a micro developing strategy. I think it's awesome. It's residential infill. It's taking a lot of it is land parcels like backyards, and especially in places like Washington, Oregon, California. We have fantastic laws for this. You can build additional units, increase the value of the building. You can make a ton of money, and it's basically just micro development. I think it's fantastic. It is not part of my business plan. I like buying bigger buildings and turning them around, and I just like the larger projects. They are more fun for me. They are more engaging. That is what I prefer to do. I do have a few friends who do it. A buddy, by the way, Chris Luna out of San Diego, has done very well in the ADU space. I think he actually just launched a course too. You guys can look into that. I do not have a reference. I do not know the link or the name of it, but it is really cool. You guys should check him out. His name is Chris Luna out of San Diego. What type of business structure do you guys have? I'm an S corp now, so I can be an employee of my company and have proof of pay stubs. Almost all the LLCs are a standard partnership. My larger companies like Property Management or Multifamily Strategy, which owns the YouTube channel, all of my socials, the course, the mentorship, the speaking revenue, all runs into the main education company. That is an S corp, and I am an employee of that company, as is Cody. Little 2-employee company, S corp. Property Management is also an S corp. How do you guys determine the value of a building? Well, we buy almost all commercial multifamily, so it's going to be a NOI and cap rate. I'm having extreme trouble figuring out how purchasing a $2 million building can get to 3.1 after renovations. What math did you do? So we took the big thing is we bought for $2 million. If you're basing it on the income approach, it's worth nothing. Like, it lost money in operations. There's a minimum price that people will actually pay for a unit. So at some point you have to say, hey, even though this doesn't make any sense mathematically, if we're buying this at $50 per door and the average unit is selling at $100 per unit, we probably have the ability to get some upside here. So we have a base level of, okay, let's use the sale comps of stabilized buildings and where we're going to get it and decide how much we're going to pay for it. But for Cody and I, we got the income. Collections are $30,000 a month on the building. When we bought it, it was $5,000 a month. So when you stabilize, you're looking at how much income do I have? And at the time, it was a 5 cap market. So it's just taking our net operating income, so income minus all of our expenses, dividing it by the cap rate, which is 0.05. And that's how we got the valuation. Our last valuation was, I think, 4.1, somewhere between 3.8 and $4.1 million. But that's how you do the value add, is you increase the net operating income. And in commercial real estate, 5 units and up for multifamily, that is how you do the math. It's quite simple, which I really appreciate. Emmanuel has a question here. What criteria does your criteria change at all when screening Section 8 tenants? For example, would you care less about credit score? Nope. Same criteria. They're screened just like anyone else, except that housing's guaranteeing their rent. So I don't care about their income verification as much because that's being subsidized by housing, but they still have to have no evictions on their record. They still have to have reasonable credit, especially if they're paying a part of their rent. I don't want to have a partial non-pay any more than I want to have a non-pay. The only time I accept lower credit scores, by the way, which is very rare, is if they have a very specific reason that they submitted in advance in writing and I have a double security deposit. Going through, sorry, that was a continuation of a previous question. In Canada, you can absolutely not find any seller information available to the public. Should I reach out to property management? I am a realtor. Yes, I believe there's a way for realtors to find some of that information. I don't know what it is, though, because I am not Canadian. I do know that I have Canadians who do this strategy. Seller financing is still very doable up there. The owner strategy that we talk about on YouTube of just, hey, look at the public record data is not the same in Canada. You're going to have to find either software, a brokerage that has the information, possibly reach out to the property manager. There's a way to do it because people are obviously talking to owners and buying real estate. It is possible, but the way record keeping is done in Canada, it is a different country. I don't know everything about that. I won't pretend to answer a question that I'm not like super well versed on, other than I have students who have done it and they did it through a connection with a real estate agent when they did it. Is there a link to your Vancouver, Washington event? Yes, there is. I'm so excited to be co-hosting this, by the way. NW Action Summit. Cody and I spoke there next year. It was one of the best organized events and had like the best networking. Really good food, tons of breaks and breakout rooms to go meet with people. I do a lot of events that are super boring and lame. This was not one of them. So I am co-hosting. It is now super wordy. It's the NW Action Summit, multifamily strategy. Mastermind something. It's super long, but the website remains the same. nwactionsummit.com. Summit has two M's, right? Summit. Yeah, I believe so. That should be right. I just dropped it in the chat there for everyone on every platform, I believe, except for Instagram. Instagram, I'll dive over and save you guys. All four of you, or however many people are here watching on Instagram. Mike asked what the course runs, by the way. Course is a $2,000 one-time payment, lifetime access to everything, the YouTube channel, the questions, all the course. I literally am adding content tonight. That's why I'm on. I was working on it, and I was like, you know what, I'm at my computer, and I'm getting distracted. So I'm going to wake myself up by hanging out with everyone. Course is $2,000. Mentorship includes the course, and it's $5,000. We will train you on that until you make your first $1,000 passive income, of monthly income. So 6-month program. Almost everyone gets everything they need to know in 3 months. But if it took you 9 months and you're still not there, I'll just keep training you until you get it. As long as you want to learn, I will get you there because strategy is super simple. It's not real estate's not that complicated. People have been buying real estate forever with or without money. Is there a link to the New Jersey event? Oh my gosh, everyone wants the links. Okay, well, I'm going to do the Portland event is my event. So I'm going to link that here on Instagram as well. nwactionsummit.com. Boom. New Jersey event. I should be able to find that one. Let's see here. BuildItNowLive.com is what I'm going to guess it is. We're going to try this. Oh, look at that. They got the domain for the name. That makes so much more sense. Okay, look at that. We're just plugging everything. This is not my event. I spoke at this one last year. This is one of the main East Coast ones that I do. I had a lot of fun with this one, so boom. I'll put that here for our New Jersey friends. That is in the chat now. Darren, do you have any contacts that specialize in retail, commercial real estate? Need some advice. I don't. I own a barbershop in one of our mixed-use buildings. It is the only retail I own. So I'm not an expert in that space. I have spent a lot of my time around people in hospitality, mobile home parks, self-storage, ton of that. And then multifamily, of course. But those are kind of the main ones I'm the most versed at. I know a few people in office. I don't have a great retail contact yet. It's not a space I've really dove into too much, especially because early in my investing career, we had COVID and retail is mostly shut down. So it would never have been a huge part of business while I've been in business. Cody with a K. Do you guys do mentorship? Congrats on the new build. Yes, we do. Multifamilystrategy.com should be linked on any social that you're on. So that wherever you were watching this, it should be linked. Multifamilystrategy.com. Course mentorship. We do it all there. And yes. And I'm still accepting some new people. I'm trying to get the goal here is to bring in 5 more people to the mentorship group. And I'm probably going to pause new people for a little bit. We're right around the sweet spot of where I like the classes to be. So if anyone wants to hop in, this would be the time. Joel, plan on doing a house hack for my first investment property. Can't wait. In the metro Atlanta. There we go. Atlanta was awesome, by the way. The goal is to be at least break even on the mortgage to rent ratio. That's a really good goal. If you're doing the whole house hack thing, fantastic goal is just get to break even on the property. If the tenants are just paying for you to live and you don't have a mortgage, you're saving on a huge expense. Highly recommend. Heiner, saw you on the call earlier today as well. Speaking of people in the mentorship group, Heiner is one of our very active members. Heiner always has some great questions. How do you determine future value of a building's worth? So you're going to figure out what market rent is, even if it's 5 years out, and rent always goes up, by the way. I do the math as if we just get to market rent within the time. So if I have a 5-year balloon, for example, I'm going to say in 5 years, let's assume that I'm within $50 of market rent of today's rents. Now I have really nice conservative numbers. I also factor for some amount of vacancy, 5-10%, depending on my market. I'm like, okay, based on this, what is the net operating income? We're going to take today's market cap, the cap rate, and it's market cap, not the cap rate of your deal, by the way, the market cap rate, and we're going to divide the net operating income, which is your monthly income, net income minus expenses monthly, times 12, divided by your cap rate, which is just the return on each dollar that you have in the deal. That is a cash-on-cash return metric. Or I guess just overall, if you bought the deal in cash metric, it excludes the cost of debt. You're then going to divide it by that. Say it's a 6% cap rate. You divide that net operating income, annual net operating income, by that 0.06, and you get your valuation for a 6 cap. But it's all based on conservative numbers of where the property is going to be at whatever exit of the debt you have. So that is an upcoming balloon, that is a partnership buyout, whatever exit or change that we are doing the math for, where we need to know what the property is going to be worth. That is how you determine future value. Conservative numbers, and that's why we also use fixed rate debt all the time, because if you don't know what your costs are and you're trying to go, oh, where am I going to be in the future? I don't know. Because if your income doesn't go up a bunch, but the rates triple, you're going to lose the property. Battelle Real Estate. Are there any specific markets you would suggest for the first-time investor? Okay, so I'm starting to have a change of heart here. I've always said blue states, easier to compete in because less people want to buy there. Red states, easier to operate in because the laws are friendly. I'm finding great deals in Texas consistently. Cody's finding deals in Indiana consistently, and Tennessee. What I'm finding is there's just markets that are harder to be a landlord in, and I happen to be one of them. I have traded out. If you guys have seen some of my posts recently, I've traded Cody a couple of my properties in Washington State to have extra liquidity as I move to Texas later this year. That reasoning is so that I buy a house, one, but two, I have enough money to buy the house already. I'm going to be buying some more real estate in Texas and building my portfolio down there. I love managing down there. It is easier. The laws are friendly. I'm still finding fantastic opportunities. So I'm changing my tune just a little bit. Are there any markets that I would suggest for a first-time investor? Many places in Texas, but really anywhere that is conventionally friendly landlord state. Use the same strategy that I use. Meet with the owners in those markets, learn how to play the game, buy there instead. And here's why I think I may have been wrong. While you can buy great deals in blue states, and I've made a lot of money doing so, I think there's an advantage. By the way, if you're in a blue state, there is a true advantage of playing in your own backyard. That can outweigh buying in a red state. But if you're looking just, I'm investing out of market anywhere. Red states with great laws that love businesses, that is where I want to invest. That is where I want to dump my money. That is where I want to play the game, because the strategy is buy it and don't lose it. If you're doing a long-term hold, Well, the value of getting in on the deal, it diminishes over time as you're like, well, it's difficult to hold, and they keep changing the laws, and it's really hard. You're just building problems that will last forever, as opposed to easier places to manage. The long-term nature of the buy and hold business, the recurring things like I'm always going to be in the state that the building is in, they're weighing on me more, and it's actually changing my strategy significantly. I am buying more in red states. I think what everyone's going to see this year, I'm not 100% sure this is what it's going to look like. I think I'm going to go from 200 units in Washington to about 100 something units, mostly in Texas. I'm holding some of my Washington portfolio pretty much forever. But I think I'm going to go way down in units in Washington this year. I'm not a fan of selling. I don't have to sell. I'm just not having as much fun playing in the state. When I live outside of the state, I lost my advantage. So if it's in your backyard, that's your number one, no matter where you live. Other than that, easier to manage, the better. Daylon, good to see you, my friend. You'll be hosting events in Dallas once you make the move, dude. I will be hosting so many events in Dallas. Dallas, 1. Dallas-Fort Worth has the population of Washington State. 2, Dallas is way more fun than Washington State. I love the city of Dallas. 3, you guys have great weather all the time, and I like being out in the sun, so I'll probably host a lot of outdoor events. There's a million things that I want to do when I'm in Dallas, but as soon as I am in Dallas, the main reason for the move is that it is central. I am traveling a lot for speaking. More people can come to Dallas than can go to Seattle, Washington, because I'm very far from Florida and New York. I'm also an easier flight from everywhere, so it all helps. I'm just talking about how cool it is not to sneeze on your live. I have failed. Joel, how much equity do you get? How much equity do you guys see on average on your properties per year? Like how much equity? I'm guessing this is how much equity do we build on average? Equity is interesting because market cycles are going to affect you a lot. On average, we see quite a bit because we're doing a lot of value add projects. I'm thinking between Cody and I and our equity in the properties, because we do have a few partners here and there, I think cumulatively between the two of us, our net worth went up in the properties on paper, went up about $4 million, so about $2 million each in equity. A lot of that was just for finishing value add projects, leasing, and stabilizing rents. It gets exponentially larger every year because you have more properties and bigger projects, and it just kind of rolls as long as you have the same principles, long-term cash flowing fixed rate debt, and you're doing good projects. And I've had all but one project go very well and basically to plan. As I'm playing this game, I have found that's like it's the struggle to the first million was a push, but it did happen pretty fast. And then after that, it just gets more and more and more and more. Market cycles, when you get a market boom, that equity in your property can just go through the roof. And when rents make a major run, same thing. Net worth goes through the roof. Right now, we're kind of in I don't know what the right word is for it. It's just like a stable, flat market. There's still a lot of demand. Interest rates are okay, I guess. Pricing's still considered a little bit on the high end. So it's like not a lot of movement. So we're not seeing a lot of organic growth. We're going to have to kind of keep forcing it on the value add projects. BH was asking what he would expect from it, but it's far enough from his last question that I forget. I think we're still on the ADUs. Yes. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the question's in relation to. Edmund, was it difficult converting your 9-to-5 into full-time real estate? Did you wait till you reached your goal to leave your 9-to-5, or did you leave right off the bat? I pretty much left right off the bat. I got so I was working a 9-to-5. The whole company was kind of collapsing. I left the CoStar group to join a startup, learn how to be an entrepreneur. Turns out the guy who taught us how to play the game did not know how to play the game. In fact, I just got off a call from someone who is actively suing that individual. They did not great business practices, and they are learning the price. Because of that, the company started falling apart. And so I was jumping off a sinking ship, and I was like, you know what? I have 55 units. I don't make enough money. let's just go for it. And bought a bunch more real estate, and I just went full time. I was like, I could get another job, or I can just focus on what I'm building. And that's what I did. Focused on what I'm building. We started the PM company that paid us a little salary, mostly out of our own properties, but it was a way to create a unified profit center for all the properties, hire on a little bit of staff, and start growing a company with third-party management. So I hired myself in there for basically no money, lived off the rents and one cash out refi we did for the first year, and off to the races from there. Multifamily strategies gotten a lot larger as a company. Property management's got astronomically larger as a company, and property's stabilized. Though there was a point where, when the government shut off the free money after COVID, Cody and I were relying on that too hard, and so our whole like always cash flow thing, we went like negative $21,000 a month for a short but very scary, painful period of time, where it's like, oh wait, if we haven't finished the reno, and now the government's not paying for all the non-pays, we have to evict a bunch of people and then fill their units in the middle of winter when it's really hard to lease units. Fun fact. We've done a lot. The reason that we know stuff is because we've been through stuff. But yeah, that was scary. Leaving the 9 to 5 was, I was like, oh, I can go back, or I can just make my own business. And that's what I wanted to do at that point. So I just locked in and did the thing that I wanted to do, which, by the way, not everyone can do that. I was going to talk about this probably on tomorrow's live, but I think that's the problem with a lot of people getting wholesaling is they're 95% ready to leave the 9 to 5, but they're not ready to make the jump to be an owner. And so they wholesale the deal because, like, oh, I can get money right now and I need money to live. But then you end up just getting addicted to, wait, I can make good money. And every time I have a deal, I can like take cash now, own real estate, and they choose to take cash now. There's a way over this, but I think it's an actual just mental thing. People with different risk tolerances. It's the same thing with everyone in wholesaling. Wholesalers, you have 100% of the skills that you need to do exactly like Cody and I did. All of them, same skills. It's a tweak in the mindset that is like this big, but life-changing. Well, what are the improvements you do immediately once you acquire a property? I'm having a hard time talking tonight. I didn't even say that right. Appliances, first thing. If you have a busted stove, like you have like 3 of the burners are out, and the landlord comes in, buys the building, and like boom, your stove works. It means a lot to you as a tenant. It doesn't cost that much as a landlord, and you can solve it fast. The psychology of keeping your tenants happy is going to solve a lot of your non-pay issues. And if rent bumps are part of the project, it's going to be a much easier pill to swallow for your tenants. So that is a great first thing to do. Appliances, fridges, stoves, microwaves. If there's a busted AC unit, fix them. Gross toilets, rip them out, put in a new toilet. Toilets cost very little, super easy to install. Do those things. Then look at, okay, what are the major issues? Like, is there a bad roof, or is there like terrible electric? Let's go ahead and put together a plan of how are we paying for these, when are we doing them, and how fast can we get these done. Right now, Cody and I closed a month ago on the 33-unit hotel. New roof's already going on the building. Like, I'll post some pictures, more pictures tomorrow, but they took the old roof off, new roof's coming on. It is like instant. Fix the big CapEx things, and then boom, into interiors. And interiors are always the same. Glue down LVP floors. Walls are always the same eggshell white, HTL finish, white paint. Countertops are all one of 3 different LVPs, depending on what aesthetic I'm trying to go for there. But everything's basically the same. If you want basic white fridges, if you're trying to bring it up a level, black fridges, avoid stainless steel if you're doing entry-level housing, because they tend to be a little rougher on them, and stainless steel shows every single dent differently than a white or black fridge would. So while stainless steel looks nice, we learned the hard way, it costs more, and it doesn't last nearly as long aesthetically because it just gets dinged up. So elevated, black fridges. Basic, white fridges. That's about as creative as you need to go on appliances. Same go for ovens. All right. Would you purchase property that has a lot of units, 12 for example, but doesn't have a very high NOI? What are some of the shiny deals that you would stay away from? Stay away from hospitality. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. It's seasonal, and it's very active. And I don't want very active businesses. I want boring businesses. I made the mistake when I was younger, and not that much younger, like 2 years younger, of I want this adventure. And we even did a whole video series. I'm like, we chose the adventure. Don't choose the adventure. Choose a boring business that is stable, that you can run the same way every single day. Later, you can choose the adventure. When you make it, you have a whole bunch of money. Don't choose a $4.5 million adventure and be like, yay, this is going to be fun. It's way too much work. It's way too much work for what it makes. It's profitable. That's Robin Hood Village Resort. It's profitable. It's beautiful. It is a great place to host events. You guys should come to the next one, whenever that will be. But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's not worth it. It's profitable, but it's not worth it. In my market, rent is controlled and can only be increased a certain amount. If you want to increase above that amount, you have to put in an application. It needs 3 months notice. What do you think? I think California is stupid. Rent control, and this is just a fact, rent control is only bad for tenants. If you're a landlord and you're already established, congratulations. Market rent is going up by a fixed amount every single year, and every other landlord is doing it. What happens if you look at rent prices in markets where they did rent control, rent actually skyrockets. Problem is, you have to do an application and get special permission, like in this case, a 3 months notice to raise the rent more than the rent cap, which means it's now more expensive and your holding costs have gone way up if you're trying to do a value add project. What does that do? That means less people in those markets do value add projects because they're scared of not getting the rents up. Buildings start getting dilapidated if they fall behind on rent. No one wants to come in and fix them up. And so you get dumpy buildings, collapsing buildings, tenants in consistently worse conditions. You get more slums, and you get really rich landlords who are raising the rent by the same amount every single month. The only person who wins when they do the rent caps are already established landlords in that market. That is the only winner in rent control. It's garbage. And seriously, anyone argue with me on that. That is exactly how it works in every market, period. No exceptions. The poor suffer. Entry-level housing suffers. No one can afford to do value add. You just get slums and rich landlords. It is the opposite of what they advertise it as, and it's the stupidest economic idea that you could ever have. As a landlord, I should be for it because I'd make a boatload of money, but I am morally against it. Steve, what do you think of the velocity of money to build wealth? Like the velocity of money to build wealth. Oh, I'll tell you exactly what I think of it. I don't think about it. Velocity of money is kind of, it's all encompassing for those who are unfamiliar. Velocity of money is essentially, it's like, okay, how much can I leverage and how fast can you circulate the money through the portfolio? And I do a whole lot of moving money around. Velocity of money is important, but I simplify it down to this. And here's what I talk about. And I think pretty much every live now. Your 3 resource pools. You got liquidity, you got cash flow, you got equity. They can all be traded for each other. As you move those things around and build your empire, the better you get at trading your pieces and keeping up everything that you need to build the equity in your real estate, then converting that into cash and cash flow again and again and again. The faster you can do that, the more wealth you build. Just don't buy deals that lose money. I've only done that once, and it sucks. I'm glad it was on a duplex. And I'm glad Cody bought the duplex from me. He's going to build beautiful, brand new build townhomes on the back. I'm not a builder. I didn't want to do the project. Patel, you mentioned, how will the bank look at the deal? What are the requirements needed to give a lender? Where do you find lenders? Well, the nice thing with lenders, like conventional lenders, they're online. Google like lenders in my area. Go to meetups, they're all advertising there. Talk to other owners, which is the main thing that I do. Talk to the people who don't you want to do. They already have lenders. They're just going to tell you who to call. Happens all the time. I just got a new bank contact who will finance some of my more creative stuff. They don't take other clients. I've been trying to work with them for 2 years. I just met with an owner who's like, oh, it's because they don't know you. And they called them and they're like, you need to work with Cody and Christian. I like these guys. These guys are up and comers. You want them in your book of business. They open an account for us that day. We've been trying for 2 years just to get them to open a business account for us. We're in because of the owner meeting. Owner meetings are how you do that. That's the best place to find them. Congrats on getting through that pain. Oh, I was going to say about the $21,000 a month bleed. Yeah, when you're a new business and you're like, we were making so much money. Like we were making like $15,000 a month. We had just started business. I was like, this is amazing. We're on the top of the world. And then like instantly it's like, surprise, -21. I'm like, oh, that's more negative than they were positive. No. Yeah, it felt good to get through that. That was hard. And that was largely because my wife came into our business and started running the contractors, running the renos, and getting stuff done. I also have an amazing team that I'm very grateful for. Heiner, how much time should you dedicate when you have a 9-to-5 job? Looking for deals, I spend an hour a day. That's what I do. I look at some of the things on the market. I look at some other people's deals. I make a few owner calls, and I book a coffee meeting once a week. And that means I'm meeting at least 50 new owners a week. Plus, I go to a few meetups. As far as like finding deals, 5 hours a week should be way more than enough. You're going to find way more than enough opportunity. And when you get some practice and you get good at it, when you're first starting, just like hone in, focus up, look at deals. Like for the first month, just every chance you get, look at deals. Once you're comfortable with, hey, the math and the opportunity and finding them, a few hours a day on it. Then once you're under contract for a deal, you just kind of get a rhythm. It's like, okay, we're under contract. We have to do the painful part where we get all the docs together. We get through the legal, file the LLC, open the new bank account, get insurance, do the inspection, sign off on due diligence, wire earnest money, show up to closing, sign for the property, done. So once you're under contract, there's always kind of it's 10 minutes a day with a few days that are going to take you a couple hours. Bust everything out, close the property, you own another property, on to the next. Kind of the rhythm that I've found. What do you think of LIHTC properties? So LIHTC is a low-income housing product that usually has very long-term debt that says, hey, you're going to guarantee that rents are at X. They have a bunch of stipulations on how low the rent's going to be. And in exchange for that, they're going to give you very, very favorable financing. I have yet to, in my entire career, look at a LIHTC deal that was for sale on the market that would make sense or could make sense for any reason. I've never, granted, some people specialize them and they kill it. Ever since CoStar, I worked at CoStar for 4 years. I've been doing full-time investor the last 3 years. I started investing in 2016 in real estate. Playing this game, no one has ever showed me. No CoStar client has ever showed me. When I was a broker, none of my clients have ever found one. I've never found a LIHTC property that's worked. It's one of the only things where I've never seen it work. So that's my thought on it. If that is like what you do and that is the opportunity that you know how to find, specialize in it, do it, knock it out. Whenever I see someone try to buy into one, never trades, they get stuck around forever, and I've never seen one where the math worked. How is Cody managing development investments? How to get into it? His first owner he ever met with, like really met with, was a developer. They bought 40 units, they paid them all the way off, and they used the paid off rentals as their base to get through their first few development projects. Now they have a much larger portfolio, but then when they build, they'll build, say, 7 buildings. They'll keep one, they'll sell the other 6. They'll pay off all the debt on that one, and they expanded their portfolio by being a builder. Now, I don't want to be a builder. I hate going through permitting. I hate the amount of planning, and I hate the waiting. I like being able to get into a project and go like, all right, teams, move out. You go to permitting. You get here. I'll be up on the roof working on something. Let's junk these units. Let's go. I love reimagining a space. I don't know if I'm a musician. I play a lot of music. I don't know if it's just the creative side of me, but when I see an ugly building that could be something else, the excitement of taking something old and making it new is fun for me in real estate. Taking a piece of ground and turning it into a new building, I'm sure a lot of people love that. It just doesn't interest me as much as the art piece of like, I'm going to take something that has some history and turn it into something else and make it better. I don't know what it is, but that gets me going. It's a personality thing. But for Cody does what I think a lot of people want to do, which is like, I could own brand new stuff that's built exactly the way I want, and I can do it profitably if I own the land. And Cody's going out, and he bought me out of a lot of our tiny buildings that happen to have a lot of buildable land. And so now he's building his first 7-plex, his first 6-plex, a few duplexes. He's building some of his small stuff with the actual builder is the developer who we first met with in an owner meeting. So I'm really happy for Cody. It's going full circle for him, and it should. How do you generally pay for balloon payments? Is it from cash out refi? You pay with your obligations for them with money, which means if you're paying for them with money, it is going to be with your earned income. It's going to be with the cash out refi. It's going to be from the sale of the property. It's going to be from the cash flow of the property, or it's going to be from debt from somewhere else. I mean, those are the ways that you would pay for it. Any type of liquidity that could come in is an option to pay it off. The other thing you can do is you can pay it off before the balloon gets done, which is one of my favorite things. You just have to build a large enough cash flow from all your real estate to start knocking out some of those mortgages. But yeah, when it gets to a balloon, you just have to make sure you have the liquidity. How you get the liquidity? From yourself, from others, from your job, from your property, from a refi, from a sale. There are 6 ways off the top of my head that you would knock that out. Refi is by far in this industry the most common of those. My wife asked me how I'm doing getting my tasks done. For those who are here since the beginning, I'm working on the course tonight. I'm adding a new section about Section 8 housing. Just a second. My Section 8 course is actually, I'm working on it, and it just happens to be in the 8th section of the course. Section 8 is Section 8. Kind of like that. I just realized that as I was saying it. She's like, how's working on the course going? I wanted to work with everyone to keep me go live, to keep me all focused and energized. And I realized, yeah, it's not going super well. I told her it's going fine. No one tell her. Do you use a lawyer to complete your deals, or only a title company? A blend of the both. The lawyer's going to usually do note, deed of trust, special clauses, operating agreement, and then the title company is going to do the final closing. Some states you close at a law office. Some states you close at a title company. Washington State almost always close at a title company. So I use title company for closing, but a lot of the steps are done with legal. Darren, what documents do you require to verify that an owner tells you about the property? I want the bank statements. I want utility bills. I want the rent roll. I want leases, and I want tenant estoppel letters, which is where the tenants just sign, this is what my deposit and rents are. Those are the main ones as far as documents go. Oh my gosh, you guys are asking questions so fast. Rob tried to type out late 3 times. We're going to make fun of Rob for his stupid autocorrect. Rob, you are being ridiculed online. If it makes you feel better, I've mispronounced. I don't even know what the right word is. I've missaid like 86% of my words. That's an actual statistic. Someone fact check me. I've been having trouble speaking tonight. Speaking of words that I can't pronounce, from a user whose name starts with a J and is an alphabet soup of letters, what are the best improvements to do to increase rents and increase, I believe is what the word's supposed to be. Wow, we're really making fun of everyone's words. Property value, while we're interning the property value. But while we are making these improvements, the biggest ones are the ones, and this is, a lot of people disagree with me on this, actually. This is controversial. A lot of people say, fix the outside because the appraiser is going to appraise it higher. Do the exterior, increase the street appeal, and more people will live there. What I found, the first thing you do is you make the units renovate. You go inside out, like renovate them and do it well so that you have nice livable spaces where people stay. If you stabilize the income, you can use that income to stabilize the outside. Now you have a finished building, a fully leased building. Building can be brought at or near market rent, and you're done. So I'm looking at stuff like floors, paint, appliances. Is everything working? Is everything safe? Do we have the smoke detectors? Are there exterior lights so people aren't going to get injured and I'm not going to get sued? Are the outlets that need to be GFCI? If the answer is yes to all those improvements don't cost that much, by the way. Those are the ones where you can get someone in the space and they can lease the building. And once it's fully leased, you deck out the outside, and then everyone living there goes like, oh my gosh, I was cool living here when the building was ugly. Now it's a beautiful building and I love my space. And then they don't move. It's great. I don't want to see if I'm in trouble with my wife yet. No, she's watching the video, so you guys all told her indirectly. Now she knows. Danny, instead of making fun of me, you can come in here and help me be live, and we can talk about improvements. That's funny. Guys, I got in trouble. Danny, I'm sorry. I love you. Found out words. I found about 12 property owners and own several properties now. I just need to get the guts to call them. Do that. That is something. So I learned this in sales. I had a lot of phone insecurity. It's really scary for me in sales to call people. Phones in general. I hated phone calls. I was a phone sales rep for 4 years. See a number, call a number. It's like literally, I don't think about it at all. Like someone's like, "Can you call this person?" I'm like, "Yes." Then I dial. I did that for a Robinhood guest today. Someone was like, "Hey, I have a slightly difficult guest," and I was like, "Oh, give me the number." And then as soon as I was available, I grabbed the phone. I was like, "Is this the number?" I think it is. And I hit call. Didn't even get their name. Dealt with the issue. Issues addressed. Onwards we go. What situation would be beneficial for the capital partner to have 100% equity stake? Not ownership stake on the deal. For the sake of having capital partners to invest in your deal? Well, the equity is the ownership, so I'm not quite following, but I wouldn't give a capital partner 100%. Well, this may be a way to interpret this. I do have LLCs that say that they are backed by my equity. So in the event that I don't buy them out in 5 years, for example, my 66% equity of the LLC is surrendered to them. So I have an obligation, I have an option to buy them out. And if I don't execute the option, I lose my equity. So they're backed by 100% of the equity, but they have 33% of the equity. That's the best interpretation I think I can have of this. But back people by more than they're putting into your deal. Write something that is fair and that all parties are agreed with. For the sake of having a capital partner to invest in your deal, just back them by enough to get it done and give yourself as much of the deal as you can. I personally, unless it's a very unique case, which has happened before, I don't own less than 51% of the deal. Or if it's Cody and I coming in with our LLC, that LLC owns at least 51% of the deal. Cody owns properties I don't. I own properties he doesn't. We own a ton of stuff together. But my entity, the one that I'm in the driver's seat on, that entity almost always owns 51 or more percent when we go in because I want to be in the driver's seat, not only on the operating agreement, but in actual equity stake. Also, Washington State, excise tax sucks. If you buy out less than 50% of the LLC, you don't have to pay excise tax. Why do syndicators make it seem like capital raising is so challenging? You guys make it seem so easy. Because syndicators are silly and they like to do deals that are really, really skinny that I wouldn't invest in. Which is why a whole bunch of them are going under right now. Because interest rates went up, they did short-term loans on mediocre deals that only worked with their variable rate debt. Sorry, your half-point spread disappeared when your interest rates tripled. It's hard to raise money for syndicating because you're trying to raise money from a mass amount of people by crowdfunding and marketing. And you're competing with marketing people like Brandon Turner and Grant Cardone, who are probably way better marketers than you are. If you have a great deal, like a truly great deal, and you're asking someone like, would you like to be the investor with me? Of course I want to do that over syndication. I have a friend who spent their entire life saving up $2 million. They spent it all on syndications. They lost all of it. 100%. Just same year they placed it. $2 million in, gone. They start investing from scratch. Horrible. Happens all the time with syndication. Silly stuff. There are good syndicators, by the way. Terrence Doyle's the best one to check out if you want to see a good one. Edmund, what's a valuable lesson you've learned from mobile homes so far? Well, they're very similar, I have found thus far with my one. They're very similar to my rougher properties, like my rougher multifamily. It's entry-level housing, and it's a little bit rougher entry-level housing. What I'm liking about it is they're individual units. Like you can just remove one of them instead of replace it. You can put a whole new one on there. I'm finding it kind of easier. I'll be over there again on Thursday. I'll snag some short form content for y'all. But project's going pretty well. We're having trouble with collections, but we knew that when we picked it up. Like we've owned it for a month. I knew collections were going to be terrible the first month. So a lot of people are getting non-pays. We'll start the eviction process on a few people. And usually when you do that in entry-level housing, magically everyone starts paying. They're like, oh shoot, the new owners are serious. So I don't actually think we'll go through with a lot of evictions, but this is what I'm saying. It's what you expect is really how I felt. It's a little rougher living. They like to be left alone, and for the most part, it's just people who want to pay the rent and live somewhere inexpensive. Would you ask for extra capital from an investor for repairs and renovations if you're doing zero down? Yes, always. I would have saved so much money on the 38plex had I done that. Absolutely. Ask for the amount of money you need for your project, not the amount of money you need to close your deal. Huge mistake. I still occasionally make today. Sometimes I'm just like, let's just get it done. Let's just get it done and we'll figure it out. It's the wrong way to do it, and it's a bad habit, and I have that bad habit. Raise the money that you need. Where do you get the funds to do repairs? Well, it's very similar to how do you pay balloons? Pay for repairs with money. Earned income, additional debt raised up front for your project, cash out refi, which Cody and I rely on far too much. Sell another property, so liquidity event. But it can be earned income, it can be borrowed income, or it can be refinanced income, which I guess is still borrowed. So I guess the short answer is it can be earned or borrowed. is the two ways to do it. Edmund, do you go under contract first and then look for capital partners? Yes, I meet owners all the time, so I have an arsenal of people who I can who I've networked with, who I can then bring a deal to based on what their goals are. That's why we talk about the circle drill all the time on multifamilystrategy.com and in the mentorship. But that is why we have the circle drill, is so that we can map out our pieces and align them with others' pieces and pitch two circles that align. Deal's done. I don't try to raise capital though, or get a capital partner before I find a deal, because then I'm trying to match the deal to the money, and I'm going to look at really limited deals. If I'm finding deals and then finding the money, I'm going to have full range of what deal I can do, and then I'm going to find the right capital. There's way more money than deals, so focus on the limited resource, find one of those, and then match money to that. It'll change my life when I figured that out. That's how Cody and I went from like, oh, I'm buying a duplex a year to like, oh, I'm buying 100 units a year. This is not that hard. What are your favorite tools to analyze a deal? What are you looking for to qualify as a good deal? A good deal is cash flow on long-term fixed rate debt. When I buy them, they make more money. When you have enough cash flowing deals, you can do heavy value add deals that lose money for a short period of time, but have even more upside. You cannot start with those deals because you cannot go negative on cash flow. When we were at negative $21,000 a month of cash flow, it was suck. I don't want to go there again. With your business practices, would you prefer to pay your capital partners out as early as possible? Yes, always. Always, always, always. I want to own the stuff, and I buy capital partners out all the time. Just like Cody buys me out occasionally, there will be a point, and it's fine. Cody and I are friends. We are doing business together. There will be a point where Cody and I own a few big buildings together because we 1031'd up everything, and then we've traded each other all the other buildings. The goal that Cody has, that I have, that most investors should have, is to just own your buildings. Like you, and if you're married, you and your spouse, own the buildings that you want to own without any partners. It's the easiest way to do real estate. All of my partners would agree. We go in because we all bring something that we need to do that deal. At some point, I want everyone to buy each other out and everyone to own real estate. It's cleaner that way. If I have 3 partners, I would love to do 3 deals, and then we find a way to all just end up with one deal. That's the dream. Darren, can you do a 1031 exchange where you take the proceeds from one property, put those in funds into a different property that you already own to pay down debt and avoid paying capital gains? Unfortunately, no. You cannot buy your own property because it has to be an arm's length transaction, which means you are not related directly to the other party. You are related to yourself. I have tried to do that before. That is how I know. You can't do it. Now, I asked before I did it. I didn't just like find out by doing it wrong, but I have checked. You cannot do it. Currently looking for a 6-plex, or looking at a 6-plex, and the owner is willing to do seller financing 20% down. And the building needs some work and smells like cigarettes. Should I fix the smell? Yes, and it's super easy. Danny, if she was in here, my wonderful wife. But carpets, replace them. Floors, clean them. Walls, paint them. That kills almost all the smell. And literally use like the Kills brand or a good primer. But paint, cleaning, replace carpets. You pretty much have solved the smoke smell in the issue, or in the unit, almost every time. Final question from YouTube here. I have the funds for down payment and reno, but I'm considered. Oh, this is an extension to that. Sorry, I have the funds in down payment and reno, but I'm considered about concerned, I believe is the word. I'm concerned about rent control and if the application will be approved. What do you think? I live in Canada. The Canadian rent control. Yes. I don't know about Canada, but what I would try to do, if you can, is I would go ahead, get it under contract, and during due diligence, start that application process and see if you can get a feel for whether it's going to be a yes or a no. I don't know exactly how long it takes to go through the application process, so that may be something to look into. I do not have the exact answer for you there, but that is what I think would be true. Jumping over to the Instagram questions, because we do have a few of them. If you're on the spot, what is your first lick on that guitar? Oh, so I have a bunch of guitars in this room, but I have one behind me. I have my my trusty Fender Stratocaster with a little Jesus fish, because this is my favorite guitar for playing music at church. Favorite lick, or first lick. One of the first songs I ever learned on guitar was Sweet Child of Mine, Guns N' Roses. That's still probably one of the first things I do when I'm just picking up a guitar. It's kind of like my go-to. That's what my hands want to do. It's funny. How do I find deals? Go to the owners. Meet the people who don't want to do. Network with them. Then network with brokers. Both scriptings in multifamilystrategy.com. I have these things dialed in, and that's what I'm updating tonight, and I'm supposed to be working on right now. But instead, I'm talking to you all because it sounds more fun. How do you get the monies for the deals? I get the monies by having the deals. You have a deal, and the deal always contains the money. How much equity? Am I going to get paid out at close? How much cash flow? The liquidity, the equity, and the cash flow are all in the deal. So find the opportunity first, and then we line them up from there. How do you get the owner's phone numbers, etc.? I usually just Google the person's name. I find the property. I look up the property. I hop online, and I just keep Googling until I find it. If it's an LLC, I go into Open Corporates, figure out who owns the LLC, and away we go. If you're really good at Googling, you can get it done. And I just practice it a lot. Got a video on YouTube, Multifamily Strategy on YouTube. If you go to most watch videos, it's the one with the pink background. We literally show exactly how to do it. Our method has not changed since we launched that video 2 years ago. It is very, very simple. Don't disturb.me says, I want to start, but don't know where to begin. Begin by begin by defining your goal. Not something like I want to own real estate, or I want to be rich, or I want to be financially free. What do you actually want life to look like with financial freedom? Are you someone who wants to travel? Are you someone who wants to start a family? Do you have a certain size house that you want? Do you have a organization that you want to donate a certain amount to? Do you define what your actual life goals are? Then go, what does that cost on a monthly basis? And then build your portfolio to that. So once you figure out, hey, it costs $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, whatever it is to hit the goal that you have, then go out and find the people in the market you want to invest in who have already hit that goal. And that is a monthly income goal that you're chasing. If you do that, that's where you get started. Find those people. 2 questions left, and then we're going to call it a night. So I'll go back to do my course. Y'all woke me up, and I appreciate it. I was dragging. Ida, love the content. We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate you. Ida, always good to see you on these. And Edmund, closing it out for us. How do you find valuable networking events? You watch my Instagram at Christian Osgood, and you see where I post, and then you go to those. Because if I'm speaking, it's a good event. No, seriously. I have found the investors that I really connect with, I ask them where they're hanging out, and I go to just those events, and those are usually the ones that I like the most. So, like most of my answers, it goes down to meet owners doing what you want to do, and then do exactly what they're doing. Those people are hanging out with other owners. Those are the meetups that I want to be going to. With that, I'll call this a good night. I'll see everyone else. If you're available, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. Wednesday, we go live every week. We go till the questions end. Tomorrow, talking about the Section 8 strategies. I just launched some of this in our course, so I have a full course set on this available now. If you bought the course, it is just added. It's fresh. We made a little over. I just tracked it. we did a little over $1 million in value add in our portfolio by using this strategy. So this is a 7-figure strategy that we have fully executed. Section 8 strategy, entry level housing. We're talking about it tomorrow.